Greetings, Earthlings, wisdom keepers, wisdom seekers. My name is Tonia, I am your astrologer, and today we are talking about what is a natal chart. Great question. If you're just getting to astrology or you've been a student for a long time, you're going to be interested in learning more at one point of the game in what is a natal chart. So today we're going all into it. By the end of this video, you're going to have the overview of what a natal chart is and how you can best use it in your life to actually get things you want accomplished, okay, and to see results. So the first thing is, let's actually look at a natal chart so you can get an overview. This is the actor Angelina Jolie, and I'm just going to draw your attention to not the fact that there's a lot going on with all these outside glyphs, but three main things that any good astrologer is going to look at when they look at your chart. They're going to look at your sun, which is right here in Gemini for her, Gemini, okay? They're going to look at your moon, see how it looks like a little moon? And for her, that's in Aries, for Angelina Jolie. And they're going to look at your ascendant, which over here, it appears is at the very last degrees, yep, of Cancer. And so those are just 3 points in any given chart that you're going to look at. And when you see this chart, I'm transitioning now to Billie Joe Armstrong, who is the singer of Green Day. You're going to see that in every chart, it's completely different. So down here is Billie Joe's sun, okay, in a totally different place. For him, it's in Aquarius, and down here you can also see his moon, that little yellow icon, which is in Aries, and then the ascendant over here, which is in Capricorn. So you see every chart is totally different. I'll quickly show you Jared Leto's chart because I heard he didn't know about coronavirus from a big long meditation he was in, and I just thought I'd pull it up. So see his chart, he has the sun down there in Capricorn, the moon over here in Aries, and the ascendant over here in 0 degrees Libra. Very interesting. Now these are just general rando charts that I pulled, but your chart is going to be totally unique to you, and that's the magic of a birth chart, is that it's entirely unique to you. At any given time on the earth, at any given place, you're going to have a different blueprint of that person's soul, and that's what you're looking at when you look at a natal chart. You're looking at a blueprint of your soul. This is how the ancients have understood it for thousands of years, okay? And when you see it as a blueprint of one's soul, you begin to realize you have a very valuable tool in which to work with. Because once you understand what you've been celestially given in terms of your assets, your challenges, your dharmic growth areas, all of which you see within a birth chart, you have a strong, powerful tool to work with because you understand the elements, you understand what's going on behind the scene. So just quickly breaking down the 3 main points of a birth chart, and you can see there's so much more. The ascendant, the sun, and the moon, right? Let's go through that, and then we'll briefly go over what are the other planets and why we look at them in astrology and what they tell us about a birth chart, okay? So the ascendant is going to be how you manifest things in your life. It's how you kind of go about achieving things or accomplishing things or just existing. It's how people know you, who kind of know you at like an acquaintance level or maybe you work together level. It's just how people see you at first, kind of like interaction. That's kind of like it could be a consistent interaction, but it's not like your deepest of relationships. But as I said, it's how you're going to go approach things. So like a Capricorn ascendant is going to go approach things very differently in their lives than a Cancer ascendant, because Cancer energy is all about caring and nurturing and mothering and supporting and like being intuitive and in their feminine vibe, right? And just really like fluctuating within that. Whereas on the flip side, Capricorn's about like achieving an accomplishment and career, hard work, and like they can be just like workaholics and feel like they are just like most comfortable when they're just doing nothing but absolute work, which is like the exact opposite of Cancer, who's more in flow with their emotions, right? Small example, but it means a lot when you look at a chart, and it gives you deep insight when you look at the chart, okay? Now the sun, moving on to that, is going to be your consciousness, and the moon's the consciousness too, but the sun is consciousness in terms of like your identity. It's how you identify as a person. It's your ego, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean that in terms of I am, like whoever you identify as. I am an astrologer, I am a Libra, I happen to be a Libra. But whatever you identify as, like I am a social interactor, aka I am a people person, aka Libra, right? Whatever that translates for you in your life, you don't have to know the astrology behind it, but whatever you identify with as being, like I am, is inevitably going to have some linkages to your sun in your birth chart. Now, whether or not you identify, say you're a Virgo, and you hear all this crap about Virgos all the time, and you're just like, I do not identify with that, that's probably because people be out there talking about Virgo when they don't know what the hell Virgo is, okay? Or they're just talking about the low vibe of that sign, and they don't understand what the higher vibe of that sign is, which might be where you're resonating, okay? So that's the sun though. It's your consciousness in terms of like how you identify, and it's also your intellect. In ancient astrology, they understood it as your intellect because you've been assigned intellect by the masculine elements and the masculine planets of the zodiac. I don't want to get too far deep into that, but let's just move on to the moon, okay? The moon, as I said, is also consciousness, but it's your emotional state, it's your intuitive state, and it's just like your generic baseline soul, like your soul's energy, okay? So it's like your deeper self behind the mask, and when I say it's consciousness, it's your emotional consciousness. It's not the consciousness that's thinking I am and fitting into a box somewhere, it's the consciousness that just is. So the people in your life who know you the best, family, friends who know you really, really well, people who know you at a much deeper level, they're gonna know you more as wherever your moon is, aka your moon sign, okay? So you can see just from those 3 different placements how different people in your life are gonna know you for different things. And those are just 3 placements, okay? So when a good astrologer looks at your chart, they don't just look at those 3 placements, they also look at the planet that rules all 3 of those placements. Hypothetically, for an example, if your sun is in Libra, let's just say your sun's in Libra, we're gonna look at what the ruling planet of Libra is doing in the chart. You noticed earlier how there were all those blue lines and the red lines between the different planets? I know there was a lot going on the screen, right? But those are, you can think of them, they're called aspects, but you can think of them like lines of communication. And when you have a red line, it's like a tense line of communication. There's something to be worked out there. It could mean arguments and conflicts, internal arguments and conflicts, or in a synastry chart between 2 people, of course. But really all that's alluding to is potential, energy, right? You don't get muscle without putting in some sweat. Okay, that's what I'm saying. When you get the red line, it's opportunity to use it. It's energy. It's like a rubber band, I always say. If you're going to let it fling somewhere, let it be targeted, not just willy-nilly. Learn how to control your hard aspects, okay? In other words. Now, I'm getting back to the Libra example, so bear with me. Now, if you see the blue line in those charts I held up, the blue lines are conversations or connections of flow. Those are things that just work. Your best friends, you probably have a lot of flow aspects between you 2, right? Anything that is a blue line is going to be just something that happens with ease. You don't have to work for it. It just is. Now, in a low vibe, people can get lazy if they have a lot of that energy in their chart, which is a real thing because sometimes you need that tension. You need the rubber band, right? But you're going to look, if you're speaking to a good astrologer, we're going to look at what the ruler of any given one of those planets or any one of those given signs is in. So in other words, if you're a Libra sun, we're going to look at Venus because Venus is the ruling planet of Libra. Now, is Venus in a good sign, so-called good? Is it in a challenging sign? Is it having easy conversations, blue line conversations with other planets? Is it having red line, hard conversations with other planets? Are those energies that those conversations are happening between compatible to manifest something in particular? For example, if your Venus is in an easy communication with a planet like Mercury, let's say, which rules communication, okay, that's going to imply you have a very beautiful way with words, okay, and you can charm people and you can communicate effortlessly, and you're probably like an amazing artist. It depends on what signs these planets are in, but I'm giving you a theoretical example of how an astrologer looks deeper at your chart, okay? I don't want to overwhelm you if you're new to astrology, so I'm going to leave that part at that and just go over a little bit more in depth on some of the planets, okay? And then we'll talk a little bit about asteroids and stuff because that's just like fun, and karmic points, all right? So you have 9 or 10 different luminary planets in the chart, or different, planets in the chart, 2 of which are considered so-called luminaries. And we're counting 10 planets, meaning that we're counting the moon as a planet, even though it's not technically a planet, and we're also counting Pluto, okay? So in all of that, you have 10 different things, 10 different bodies in the heavens that are telling you information about that person. And remember, they're constantly changing throughout time and space. Somebody born at the same exact time in Illinois is going to have a different experience, a different chart than somebody born at the same exact time, whatever that time is, in, I don't know, Togo, Africa. They're gonna have a very different chart than somebody born at the same exact time on Earth in Australia. It's just different. It's different no matter what, okay? Even if it's minutes apart in the same room of the hospital, it's gonna be a different chart. So anyway, we have 10 different planets that we are looking at and their communications amongst each other. We're also looking at the signs that they're in and the communications that they're having with one another. That in and of itself is an incredible amount of information. So if you're interested in learning more about astrology, you can do that. Or if you want to get a reading from somebody like me or any other good astrologer out there who can tell you more about that, then you can, okay? And we're gonna explain to you, if we're any good, why we're saying the things that we're saying about you and your unique chart. Now, another thing I wanted to quickly talk about is the kind of asteroids and like karmically calculated points in the chart. So the asteroids are going to represent different kind of like ancient karmic like zhuzh in the chart, for lack of better words. Like, for example, let's just use Juno as a quick example, okay? Juno is going to be considered to be the place in the chart where your ideal romantic partnership manifests. This is like next level high vibe spiritual soulmate, aka what attributes is this person gonna have? If you look at the chart, there's a lot of things a good astrologer is going to look at to determine that. Your 7th house, what sign is there? What's the planet that rules the 7th house in the chart? What is that planet doing, okay? They're also going to look at your Juno if they're tapped into a more ancient astrology, and just astrology that uses a wider variety of tools, okay? So these are small examples, but let's look at something like your North Node. This is very significant if you want to learn anything about your soul's mission, your soul's journey, and what you're here to do on the planet as a person, okay? Your North Node is something that we take away from ancient Vedic astrology. That's Indian astrology, like the country, right? So these nodes, the North and the South nodes, aka Rahu and Ketu, are calculated points that we actually come to based off of the moon's orbit and its larger cycles, okay? So the North Node is where your soul's considered to be going in this lifetime. Your South Node's considered to be what you're leaving behind in this lifetime, or what you've developed before. That's your true kind of like soul's gift. You can think of it like your own inheritance to yourself, to your soul. So what are you inheriting in this lifetime from your previous soul's experiences? That's your Ketu. That's your South Node. A Vedic astrologer would say, you need to use your gift, use your South Node, but not get caught in your gift, because the soul's mission and the Dharma is to move forward into the North Node, and that's how you're going to grow the most and prosper, okay, in this lifetime spiritually, and that's going to manifest and ripple out in all different aspects of your life. So you can have a North Node in any 12 of the zodiac signs and any 12 of the houses that exist on top of 12 zodiac signs. Again, things that are different in each and every astrology chart. So when you begin to look at these points and you learn from an astrologer who's been studying this for a long time, like me, I've been an astrologer for 10 years, just behind the scenes, closet astrologer, recently coming out to the Instagram and so forth, so cool. Hey, good to be out of the closet. But if you learn more about these points, they give you a rich sense of fulfillment, because it's almost like a confirmation. Like whatever you feel like you're here to do, that person looking at your chart doesn't need to know from your mouth what you're here to do. They can tell you based on your birth chart what you're here to do. And then if you have a conversation about what you feel you're here to do and what they see you're here to do, it's gonna link like this, and also it's gonna give you a fresher perspective on what you think and feel you're here to do. And that's the beauty of astrology. All these different planets, I told you we're gonna talk briefly about all the different ones, right? Here's the summary. All the different planets show you something uniquely different about that soul's journey in the chart. Mercury speaks to themes of communication. Mars speaks to themes of acquisition and energy and sex drive. Venus talks to themes of pleasure and built environment around you. What do you want to see around you and how you relate with others? So does Mercury, because it rules friendships, right? And communications. Pluto rules your deep psychological transformation, aka traumas, things you've had to just go through underneath the surface at a subconscious level in this lifetime. Uranus rules where you might have bright, innovative ideas that are unlike anybody else's, and so forth and so on, okay? These are all like little breadcrumbs or little packages of good and yummy little chocolates, little unique confectionery chocolates, every planet and every placement and every degree in the chart. I'm salivating thinking of a box of vegan chocolates, but all of these different points are wealths of information, like pots of gold, that we can learn more about your soul's journey to support you as you grow, to support you as you actualize into the true, whole, complete version of who it is that you are and are meant to be on this planet. So, wisdom keepers, wisdom seekers, I'm your astrologer, Tonia. If you got value from this video and you want a reading from me, please do reach out. I'm available for that. You can DM me here on Instagram or on the YouTube. You just email wizdomdropz, all Z's in there, not an S around, at gmail.com, and I will get you the information on what services I offer and how you can pay me for that to get that ball rolling. So with that said, may the stars be with you. May you use this energy to your fullest advantage. Thank you.